the fun bits.
Ooh, this is where the fun begins.
This one, increases the jump range of jump drives, and I don't think I like the rank 3 because it just reduces the fuel cost of jump drives by 30%. It just allows you to travel anywhere in the star system more effectively, but it doesn't like stop you from. It doesn't like allow you to skip over planets to visit other planets. So, but I think, to be honest, I like this skill, and it's worth having it. So I just think for the convenience, it just depends if you like build a really good ship and you don't really need this. But I think for all ships, this one is like really useful. So, but I think,
but also if it's like you need to get to this star system. And it's like miles away. It's like what, 200 light years away or whatever. You could just stop in solar systems. Yeah, you have to sit through like 4 load-in screens. But you literally jump to this solar system, pause it, jump to the next solar system, pause it, jump to the next solar system. So it's just basically it's more convenience thing than anything. But you don't really 100% need it straight away anyway. I don't know.
I feel I would put it into B anyway, because if you can live without it, and you can build it bigger ships, then you're most likely not going to need it. But I think, to be honest, this is pretty much worthy of a B rank, so pretty much it.
Okay. No, that's fair. I'll just say there is workarounds. It's not 100% essential, but it's nice to have, for sure.
Now, geology, this one is a bit vague. And what it does with this one is that it gives you like more inorganic resources from surface objects, and I think it's just something you have to mine and get more resources from it. But I don't know if it applies to any rocks you mine with the cutter. I already got like maxed it out and trying to go through outposts, probably to farm more materials, but I think it's really hard to tell the difference. Like I got the cobalt and nickel farm, and I'm not getting so much cobalt from the ground there, so I raised it up, but it's really hard to tell whether it gives you more cobalt. Sometimes I get more cobalt than nickel, but I think it's just really hard to determine. So if you're doing outpost farms, you could see the worth in it, but it's not something you definitely most need. If you're not doing outposts in the playthrough, you most likely not going to need it. So
also, when I did it, I had 2 basic outposts on 2 different planets, and I was always running out of space in my cargo bay and in my inventory, and that was without any of this extra stuff. So I think you already get loads of materials from just doing the most basic stuff anyway. I don't know if you really need to have the extra materials personally. I've not leveled this up at all, and I've still got way too much materials.
Yeah,
to be honest.
I think this belongs in the C tier because, like, it's really hard to tell if this is like really essential. So I think in the most purposes, it's just like, just probably not worth much co-op. But if you're doing a lot of outposts, you may find this useful. But it's really hard to tell the difference, really.
I like the slope we've got going here. Yeah. It's just like a downwards angle, like a triangle.
Now, medicine. Actually, this is going to be between S and double S, and there's a good reason for that, because I think I find this one to be most useful because you get more from med packs. If you favorite the trauma packs, it really helps in the long run, but I find to be this useful compared to other health perks that increases the amount of health you have or the amount of resistance you have. Because you can like get more from med packs, and if you have the legendary weapon that gives you more med packs, it just really helps. And also it has a chance to cure the infection. So this is like really essential to have because it will patch you up real quickly. And I feel this is one of the perks that I should have unlocked earlier in the game, so I kind of missed out. And because of it, it's just like takes much longer to do that because you have to use, say, med packs lots of times to get through it. I think it's a bit too much for it to level up, So I think it's for this reason it's not double S, because if you don't get this like early game, you may not be able to easily get it all. But if you get to rank 4 in this game, then you will find this extremely useful. So I think for this reason, it's just like, yeah. It's S rank for me. I think many others would definitely agree with this position, or even put in a double S rank because of how useful it is.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's useful. Yeah. I'm always using med packs, so it's useful to have for sure.
Now, research methods. This one reduces the resources required to craft items and complete research projects, and it can go up to 60. Also, sudden developments like overflows and everything can happen twice as common, and I just feel it's like, I love this one and I'd like to get to rank 4. But there's a caveat where, like, if you complete all the research projects in the game, this one is just useless, because this only affects when you have research projects on it. And if you complete all the research projects, then I don't know. I don't remember how I leveled it up, but this one is just like, yeah, it gets really useless in late game. So I like this perk, but it only like speeds up the entire process. And I just feel like if you get items that speed up the research process, and if you get in the habit of using them, you're most likely not going to need research methods. But I think because it was like useful to me in the early game, I was gonna have to say research methods to be like about a C rank for me.
Okay. I mean, I was gonna say also, it's one of those perks that if you do crafting, because a lot of people won't even craft in this game. They'll just get those basic guns and just run the story. Basically, crafting's kind of almost like an additional thing that's not super necessary.
Yes,
but it's like an optional extra content, so it's not 100% necessary perk personally. But
also, it's just like because of that, you can get all those guns. It's only like if you want to do more mods for the suits and everything, which I find to be very useful in the game, somehow it's just like, it's really useful, but then in some cases it's just like, you feel like you want to craft, but then if you just want to get weapons of special things, or you get things from loot, you may not like do any crafting. But we're talking about research here, and I just feel the research is only necessary early and mid game, which is why they deserve C. Now, hand scanner. This one is more of a convenience thing, because it increases the range where you detect resources, and it increases the zoom level. That's it. Like, doesn't add anything more. And I just feel this one is like really disappointing. Like, you can manage to do like rank 1 and 2, and I think this is pretty much enough for me. Like, once you get to rank 4, you can like detect everything with a hand scanner, but in most cases you probably don't need to spend any perks into it. And it just depends if you want to make the scanning like easier on the ground. But apart from that, it's just like, you don't really need to put skill points into it. But because some people may end up going over there and say, well, actually it's useful because it lets you see things much better with the hand scanner. So I think, especially for the zoom level being the convenience there, I think I would put it into C. So
I mean, I'm still haven't leveled it up at all, and I have no issues when it comes to scanning. I'm still having with the most basic scanner, I have no issues of finding stuff. So I don't know. I still have too much materials just going to waste. So
now,
personally,
next one is the botany. This one lets you get more resources from plants, and also you can like get more information about them. I thought this is kind of a bit useless, and it's only like if you want to build greenhouses for outposts for farming resources to create more medical stuff, especially if you want to get lots of money. Kibbles Gaming has got the video on this where you need ranks in this one. But what I did find is that Like, if you want to scan and get experience, then you can scan them up and you can even put them into greenhouses. And I thought, yeah, that's kind of cool. But it's a bit like, like you have to interact with lots of plants in order to level it all up. It just depends if you want to explore planets or if you don't want to do achievements where you're landing across different planets. You could end up leveling this one up, but in some cases you don't really need it. So I think I was going to put it in like either Void or D, but I don't know.
Does it have?
Sorry?
Because you're an achievement hunter and you've got most of the really tricky achievements already. Does this help with the 500 resources achievement at all, or does it not really make any difference?
It doesn't make any difference because organic resources, I mean, it at the moment they only tracks on how you like interact with plants and animals, and at the moment the achievement is not well programmed, coded properly, because it only tracks down on the amount of plants you interact with. So if you level this one up, it doesn't speed this process up, so you have to interact with 500 plants. And if you go to Sparta 4, where you have more plants to interact with, you can get this achievement, so therefore you don't really need this. It depends if you want to have more use for the outpost. So, you know what? I'm going to have to say D for it, because you're most likely not going to need it.
But yeah, you might need it, but not really. Not likely. But it's more useful than the ones in the Void tier. Yeah. Slightly. Like a little bit.
Now, next one is scanning. And I think this is really cool because, well, actually, it's just like, oh, yeah, actually, it's just, I don't know a great deal whether it's useful with getting better combat information about, well, getting more information about ships and the cargo. I mean, it just really depends, but I think most of the time you'll be blowing up ships or try to disable ships to go into them. So,
yeah.
Ships about space information, not so much. But, like, when it comes to this one, this might be useful if you're building outposts, but sometimes it's just like, you don't really need it, and it's only unless you want to do farms on, like, different planets. But given how the state of the optimization of the outposts, and the fact there's only certain resources which are common, and you only need them for the outposts, I mean, it just depends if you're into, like, exploration and outposts, so I feel, I don't know a great deal whether it makes a huge difference or not, and I don't remember how I maxed it out, but I just feel it's not that fantastic. I think it's for like scanning planets or some sort, I'm not sure, but personally I just feel this is pretty much more of a C rank to me. What do you think?
I don't think I'll put any points into this at all. I don't see the point of it, really. The scanning planets is useful in some cases. Like, if you want to sell like, if you go to a gas giant or whatever and you scan it, you can sell that to Vladimir and stuff. That's useful, but that doesn't, you don't need any...
That's a different one, because this one only, like, detects resources on the planet servers or on a planet. I think you're talking about a different perk there, and that's what we need to get to. But at the moment,
I just don't know if it's useful.
As someone that's been building outposts and looking at resources, that's a C rank. So
okay, fair.
Now, next one, it comes to the earlier perks I got, and I like those. But spacesuit design is just like, you can give more mods to the whole suit, but only the first 3 ranks are useful, because sometimes if you construct mods, you don't have to pay any resources for it, which is pretty much a boon when it comes to like New Game Plus, because sometimes you may get new armors and you have rank 4, you can put mods into it. But my biggest gripe is that rank 3 gives you all the mods, but the range of mods you can put on spacesuits, for instance, or helmets, like, there's a lot of useful ones, but these are not like you need them. No, I mean, you need them, but it's just lacking, and also you don't really have a lot of stuff to deal with. Like, you only like get the bits of like armor, and you can mod with a few options. So, but I think it's a bit like really annoying. Like, you even like don't have. It's a bit of a pain to level up because you have to get lots of armor in order to like put mods into it. So I think it's just like, yeah, probably not so much. But I find it useful to put up to rank 3 because you can get things like increased damage resistance. Pocketed is either like ranks 1 or 2, but rank 3 is like you get regeneration of the spacesuit. And I think this is one of the most useful mods on the spacesuit.
I see. I was going to say, is it useful for someone who's done New Game Plus, though? I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but there's like... I don't really know how to ask you this without spoiling it, really. Just, if you have certain armors that don't really need to edit the perks and all that, do you really need this perk? Like, if you have like a...
I think I know what you mean, because I think you're talking about the stuff you get in New Game Plus. So
yeah, I don't want to really spoil it for people, but yeah.
I respect that, and keeping this like least spoily as possible. You can't put mods onto it at all. It's only like with other armors you get, so it's a bit redundant.
So
the only thing is that rank 4 is only useful if you're doing New Game Plus because you may not get to pay for the mods. But then it's a rank 4 you don't necessarily need, and you just need the first 3 ranks. So, but I think I like it. But so therefore, I think I would feel like I would put it into B. But I don't know if you justify whether this is needed for like rank C. What do you think?
For me personally, I don't think I'm going to put any points into this because I've got an armor set I like, and I don't really want to modify it or add anything to it because I've got an armor I like lots already, so I don't see the point of it myself. But if you're like a fashionista and you like to change your armors up and stuff, then go ahead.
I would strongly put it into B because I think this would, because it certainly helped me doing the runs, and they're like regeneration, extra carrying capacity, and even increased resistance. It certainly helps in the long run, and even like cuts down oxygen costs too. But I think, but it's not exactly S grade stuff really. Anyway. No. Next one is an even better perk, and that's weapon engineering. The only thing is you need special projects, and I think it's the same with the spacesuit design. This one, you get loads more mods for weapons, and I think it's really fantastic. And you also need this if you like want to put Hornet's Nest, ammo, slug shots, or even suppressors. Like with any weapon, it's something that makes a difference between like having a legendary and a common, and you can put mods into those. So you can put the suppressor, which is good for stealth, Hornet's Nest if you want to blow up loads of enemies, and I found this to be extremely useful. The only thing is, it's just like sometimes you're not going to get all the mods you want for your weapons, and you need special projects to get all the mods. But I think in the long run, it's just like extremely useful, and I love it. And I think I would be willing to put this into the S tier. And I think if I was to start a new character, then I think I would rather put points into this above the spacesuit. But I think there's some perks it's just like, I would rather like get those perks and not like deal with all this crafting nonsense here. But yeah, I think this is an S tier for me, really.
Yeah, that's fair.
So,
I agree.
Next one is zoology. This is the same as botany, only it's like with animals. However, like you can get more resources with the animals, but it also unlocks I think it's the animal husbandry. So you put houses in the outpost and you can make animal spawn, which creates one of probably the best XP farm on the console version, because if you're on PC and you like craft so many resources, you may find mouse and keyboard to be most effective, but it's much slower on console. But if you use this to get animal husbandry after scanning animals, and then like you set up warehouses, you will find this more useful. And I think like sometimes you only need to like get rank 1 and that's it. But this one, I don't know, it just depends. Like, if you want to make it easier to scan animals, but sometimes you just need to like scan a certain type of animal and then you put animal husbandry. So, but I think, I don't know, it depends if you want to do XP farms with it, it's good. Otherwise, you don't need to put any skill points into it, so...
You get loads of pet animals, so maybe it might be worth it. Like, lots of pets. I don't know, maybe. I'll take your word for all of that, so... Yeah.
I just feel this is a C rank anyway, because...
Okay.
This is good for the XP farms, but apart from that, if Bethesda like patches this exploit out, or even like deals with any XP from like animal husbandry, like if they get rid of XPs from killing animals in the animal farms in the outposts, this will go into either D or 3, because this is only useful if you want to get more XP with exploits around it. I mean, it's pretty much a good perk for cheesing for XP, so yeah.
Ooh, cheesy.
Now, next one goes down to 6. Astrophysics. I think this is the one you were talking about, and this is more useful than scanning, because astrophysics, like, you can... It's a bit clunky because I got this perk and you can scan any of the moons, which is really good for XP without having to travel to any of the planets and void load screens. The only thing is that every time you want to scan a nearby planet, you zoom out and then you zoom back in and you like scan planets. But what I find the most useful is that not only you can do this with any system, but also it's just like you have better chances to discover a trait without having to visit the planet and like try to find a natural resource so you can like get traits there. So therefore, I think it would probably speed the process up and gives you like good early XP when you do New Game Plus or something like that. So
that would be useful for me, actually. I need to get this, as I said, because I'm always finding gas giants, flying to the gas giant, scanning it so I can sell it to Vladimir. So this would save me a trip to fly into all these new gas giants. So this would make more sense for me. Actually,
exactly.
This does seem like a worthwhile investment for me, actually. Damn.
I think I sold you that one, and this means it goes
You've sold
into
it.
A. It goes into A.
You've sold
definitely.
it to me.
The only thing is, it's just at the moment.
Sold.
At the moment, it's a bit clunky when you like scan other planets because you have to zoom in and zoom back in. Also, it doesn't always like unlock all the traits there, and you still have to visit the planets to deal with the resources there. But apart from that, it's a pretty huge boon, and I like it. So yeah.
So you get 100% survey on gas planets. So basically, stuff you can't go to, you can always get 100%. But obviously, physical planets you can land on and get materials you need to actually land on and search. But if you find any gas planets, it's an easy 100% survey and easy money. Those worth doing.
Also, if you 100% a survey on the planet, it will speed up increase the production of resources, so it can speed up resource gathering in the outposts. And I think this is where the skill gets extra handy too. Now, chemistry unlocks more options for like game medical stuff, and I think it's kind of useful, but it's provided if you get the resource with it. Also, I think that some of the research projects is just like a bit finicky because you have to search all around the game, and you often have to go to the internet in order to like find out where do I get this resource or something. I don't know. Is it there or some sort? And I think it's just like a bit of a nuisance there. But I think, to be honest, it's just like if you need more medical items, like if you want ones to treat with infections, this might be useful, but it's a bit of a pain. But I think the big determining factor here is that, like, with chemistry, you can create... I think I already did that. But normally you have to create loads of, like, medical items. You can stack up, like, lots of items and speed it up. But, like, if you have enough resources to create 99 amps, you can speed this entire thing up. And you can, like, get triples in amounts. And I think it might be... You may end up like getting overcumbered with so many health items, but if you want to like stack some of the health items when it comes to exploring planets or going into combat, this is actually useful. But I think it just depends. Like, if you want to buy all them as shop, you can do that. If you go around and loot places from different planets, you can do that. But this pretty much like saves time and money and like get all the resources so you can get even more healing items. But I think it's a bit imminent, so I think it's can be quite useful, but it could be not so useful. But I think I'm more A and B. What do you think?
Yeah, sounds. I've not unlocked this one yet, but this seems like a useful perk to have for sure. Because I'm always making amps and stuff, so I think it'd be nice to be able to make it easier and have more options. So yeah,
well,
sounds good.
It's not essential though, but it's possible to get.
No, it's not essential. No.
Items that might have much better healing properties. Like it heals multiple afflictions and even giving you more health. So I think I'm more inclined to give it an A rank for this one.
Yeah.
So
yeah, why not?
Now, I think it goes to the last one of the third tier, and this one involves with outpost engineering. The big one. Wow, it's huge. However, this is probably more useful for like when it comes to like building outposts here. All you need to do is like build outpost habitation modules or something like that, and this is basically like if you build houses with different modules, you can speed this up. But I don't know if it has to be unique or you have to do it in different outposts. But I don't know. It's just like if you're doing outposts or you want to role play with it, you may enjoy this one because this will give you like bigger storage boxes, which is good for farming. Same with like extractors and even more modules there. And I think I like this perk, but it just depends whether you were committed to working at outposts and get all of the items available to build. Which, I mean, if you want to get more modules to build the outposts with, first 3 ranks is essential. But rank 4 is like, if you don't want to carry all those resources with you with the larger cargo and you don't want to travel too many times to other places in space, it costs like fewer resources to build, which you may find rank 4 useful. But apart from that, it's just like, it's only useful if you like outpost building. But given the optimization, but like if you have, because you can easily say that in the game, if you have like more than 3 outposts or if you make them complicated, it just makes it more difficult if special rating. So it would get better if the game gets more optimized, but apart from that, it's just like, yeah, it's only good if you like building outposts. So I'm gonna have to say B for it because this is really good for farms, but everything else you may not need it, but it's pretty much there if you need it. So but it sounds like it could be just a C rank. What do you think?
I mean, I'm not interested in doing outposts at the moment, but it might be useful later on in the late game. It depends. Yeah, I mean, it just depends how much you're into outpost building. If you're not into it at all, if you're not ever going to touch outpost building, then obviously put yourself in the D. But if it's something you're going to use a lot of, then yeah, I think it's worth putting in a higher rank. Again, it's just situational, isn't it? It depends on how often you're going to do outpost building.
Yeah, that's
to be honest.
Now, next one is what is known as geometric fusion.
Okay.
Oh, this is annoying. This is another destroy 50 ships one. I will get to the other perk. I would say that. Oh, you don't like it?
Well, it's like I like destroying ships, but there's so many. It's like 50 ships is a lot of ships to destroy. It's time consuming. Even in the simulator, it takes bloody ages to do that many. Heck. Yeah.
Well,
but I could definitely use this because I'm always shipbuilding. My reactor is always like, you haven't got enough power in your reactor. It's like, and I'm trying to buy the best reactors and it's still not working. So I could definitely use this myself. To be honest.
It just feels like weightlifting of perks there because you'll be needing like extra units of power. Like even the best C class reactor, which just gives 40 units, and it doesn't actually power up everything. So you'll be like thinking, no, I need this one. I need to get all those extra units of power.
Need it.
But there's a way you can like destroy ships, and you can do that. But I think it's just like, it's really useful, but I think it's just kind of like trolls you into like getting this, getting all the right bits there. Like if you're into shipbuilding, you just feel like you need more power from reactors, and that's where you need this one. So I think for this reason is that I'm gonna have to say that like this one I'm gonna have to say B for it. You'll probably find this to be most useful, nevertheless.
I will be using it for sure. As soon as I unlock it, that's one of the ones I'm going to be putting points in because I need it. I need better. I want to build better ships, and I'm getting annoyed that I keep getting stuck because I can't build. Like, you need a better reactor. It's like I got the best reactor I could possibly buy. What do you mean? It's like it's so annoying. And like I leveled up my ship build. I didn't realize that was a ship ability in another tier. Okay, I need to do that for sure. We'll get to the tech tier, and I put a lot in that.
Planetary habitation. I think this one only gives you more outposts on the planet, but I certainly going to have a bit of a problem with this one because at the moment, the game is supposed to allow you to build so many outposts, but at the moment, I found that even like having about 8 and have them complicated, have loads of storage boxes and everything in it, ends up stuttering the game up. And I just feel at the moment it's just like this one gets less and less useful as I spend over 100 more hours into this game, because sometimes you only need like 2 or 3 outposts and level's not great. So until the game like gets improved with age and updates, like if it gets more optimized and you can have more outposts without slowing the game down, this one is useful, but I found it's just not so useful. But there's another property of planetary habitations that, you can basically like build outposts like rank 1. You can put it on Deep Freeze and Inferno, meaning you can put it on more planets when you can't do it otherwise. And it can be useful when it comes to farming, for instance. And there's certain planets that's got extreme pressure, so you may find this useful. But that's about it. Like, there could be more planets even on the right hand side of a system, and you may put outposts on it. But I think, like, for what I've seen so far, what I've experienced so far, I only like put outposts on certain planets, and I just feel like planetary habitation is not that essential. You start off with 8, but if you just get rank 1 or 2, and they like build on say Venus for faster speed, like you can skip time really quickly, but I think you just like sleep on the ship and that's it. Whereas
that's true.
So I think it just depends like if you want to build outposts on Venus or not. But apart from that, it's just like, I don't know, the game is so much at the early stage, you just don't want to build too many outposts, and therefore this one might prove useless. But it depends on your needs for that outpost. Like if there's planets you want to get more resources in and you feel like you want to get to build an outpost on it, you may find this one useful. So if you power leveling with farms, this one is a huge boon. So, but apart from that, for most cases, I mean, at the state of the game, the fact it's so unoptimized, you can't have so many outposts on it. I'm gonna have to say it's going to be either C or D, but I think I'm gonna have to say C on it. So,
I mean, I sound like a broken record, but again, it's down to if you want to do outpost building or not. If you're not interested in outpost building, this is a useless perk. If you're into outpost building, then yeah, it's supposed to be a bit more useful. But again, it depends if you're into it or not.
Last one, the science rank, special projects, and this one is essential if you want to build all the mods there. Also, you're probably not to get it to like, well, I think it gives you more options in the game, and I would have to say, I think this is more of an S rank thing, but I think it's up to you. Like, if you go into like, I don't know, because at the moment it's just like, this one unlocks more research projects, which is good for certain ranks, like building mods or building output, researching modules or some sort like that. But what they basically do is that, this one lets you craft war components in the workbench, and it may prove to be very useful if you like struggling to find items in shops. Like if there's certain resources you can't find, you just have to wait until the shop refreshes and you get all the bits you want. But also it's just like getting the certain resources to build like certain items. It's just like a bit hard to come by, and you just have to really think in order to get those resources there. Actually, I think it's just like not so great actually in hindsight. And also you have to craft certain level of objects there. It's just like either this has to be rank 2 or rank 3 to level up to the rank 4. But I think there's a bonus where you have outpost extractors have a chance to produce additional resources. But just like with geology, you can't really tell the difference. Actually, I'm gonna have to say that maybe I'm a bit biased here, but I think it depends if you want to do more mods for it, and that's where it comes in useful because it gives you more research projects. But I think I'm gonna have to say either A or B.
Oh wow, you're talking yourself out of an S there. Wow. But, fair enough.
Well, do you have any feelings?
No, I agree.
Yeah.
No, you've talked about it you've very passionately like covered that up for me, because I'm not really sure about that one, to be honest. So I'll trust your judgment on that one for sure. You do seem like you know what you're talking about when it comes to that, for sure.
Now
we're about to come to my favourite, the tech tree. Yay!
Yes.
Thank you for listening to the X Marks the Box podcast. Follow us at X Marks Box on Twitter or X Marks the Box on YouTube, and follow us on all audio podcast services. Thanks for listening.